Sourdough Sam.
No, Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Disrespect to Sourdeath Sam will not continue.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? I'm back. It's Sourdeath Sam. Welcome to 49ers Public Access. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you're here. And I'm happy we got a dub.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Happy we got that dub. Listen, man, I was fucking tired of watching us lose. I think you were too. I think we all know we're a more talented team than what we have demonstrated over the past 2 weeks prior. But we got a W. Was it against the Patriots? Yes, it was. Are they going to be in the playoffs? Probably not. But I think what they needed, the players, was an opportunity to build momentum, an opportunity to demonstrate that the defense isn't the Swiss cheese that we feared it might be. And if anything, I think it allowed us to get a glimpse into what may be a defensive unit that is going to start gelling over the next coming weeks. As far as our special teams, not going to cut it, but we're not going to get into that. Maybe we'll a little bit later in the show, but I don't want to get into it right now because that special teams unit is the bane of my existence. It's just going to get my blood pressure up, and I'm too hungover for that. Haywire says, Ola, still trying to figure out how Kittle caught that.
Yes, sir.
Fuck it. Dog of the day.
Big dog. Big dog. Dog of the day.
Look, you baited me right into it. George Kittle's my fucking dog of the day.
Yes, sir.
I very well could have given that this prestigious award to Fred Warner. I'm going to give it to George Kittle because, first of all, I believe it was the only it was the only offensive touchdown by a receiver that day. It was the most badass offensive touchdown of the day, and I give him big dog of the day because he did so after coming back from being hurt, and I give him a little extra credit for that. I love a good tight end touchdown. Love me some George Kittle. Dog of the day. I think we needed that sort of excitement to just jolt us into believing again. And then, of course, in a very, very close second place, I'm telling you, this prestigious award could have gone either way. But Fred Warner, honorable mention for the pick six. That shit was fucking gangster.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, say, look, make sure you, hold on. Ryan, the friend of the show, Ryan G. Hensley says, like and sub. Please like and sub.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to buy a new car soon. I don't believe I'm monetized yet, so help me get around town. I have a car now. It's just like 12 years old. It's a Jeep Patriot. It has so many electrical problems. I am not convinced that it wasn't built as a death trap and like the bomb just hasn't gone off yet. So save me before it detonates. Cool. Well, hey, look, you know who's a friend of the show as well is my motherfucking buddy Kyle 5000. Kyle, how's it going, buddy? Hey, listen, I know we were able to get that dub. I know it feels good. Please let me know. How does that feel? Also, we got a friend of the show, Jordan Elliott, coming on. Excited for that conversation as well.
Wait, Jordan Elliott?
Yeah.
You're telling me my own defensive tackle is doing interviews now?
No.
Oh, that Jordan Elliott.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. Just don't get him started on why we didn't win by 40. We've got bigger problems, like prepping for the Cardinals and making sure Warner keeps picking dudes off.
Yeah, amen, man. I'm excited to see what we do next. It is Jordan Elliott of NBC Sports Bay Area, friend of the show, and we're excited to have him.
Yeah. I got that now. The NBC Jordan Elliott. Right. Not my guy. Just make sure he's ready to talk about how we're going to crush the Cardinals next, because that's all that matters.
All right, well, I'll let him know. Hey, listen, Kyle 5000, you're a hell of a guy. I hope you get some rest. We got a big game coming up against the Cardinals. Hell yeah. Yeah, today's a tough one. Nothing's really wrong. Was in Vegas last night. I was able to, true story, I took a shit in the Raiders Stadium.
Yes, sir.
To Mark Davis, if you're going to have a stadium as nice as that, have your single ply toilet paper. It's very disappointing. Look, I understand stadium economics, but I did take a shit in the Wynn on-field club, and I feel like if I paid that much money, if I were a fan, which I didn't pay any money, and I'm not a fan of your team, but if I did, I would have wanted at least 2-ply toilet paper. No one wants to be in that part of the bathroom during the game, so the least you could do is maybe make it a little bit more enjoyable. Otherwise, the stadium looks pretty cool. I could give a shit. I got bad memories there, but yeah, so step it up. Let's talk about some sports betting. Sourdeath Sam's $5 pick'em. Listen, I haven't won yet. Not once this season. But this time, it's different.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you why, motherfucker. Because I got Bijan Robinson. I got him getting a touchdown. By the way, I pretty much only do touchdowns. It's probably why I keep losing. But that's okay. Because one of these days it's going to hit, and I'm going to act brand new. Bijan Robinson, I got him getting a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, same over there. Dude, Sam Darnold, good for him, honestly. I'm a little jealous, but we also have like a fucking dog at quarterback, so I'm not that jealous at all. Nico Collins, I got him getting a touchdown, speaking of dog. Derrick Henry, got him getting a touchdown, speaking of dog. T. Higgins, I got him getting a touchdown. I feel it in my bones. That could be the one that kills me. I don't really give a shit. I won anyways. I don't know what it feels like. Brian Robinson Jr., I got him getting a touchdown. George Kittle, got him getting a touchdown. Brock Bowers, got him getting a touchdown.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks. Enough. Hey, oh, by the way, yeah, how rude would it be if I didn't tell you that you could get your first deposit matched in bonus catch up to $1,000 just for you, from me to you. But you have to do one thing. If you want a part of this action, if you want to build your own $5 parlays that can make you over a G, you got to go to bit.ly/Sourdeath Sam, bit.ly/Sourdeath Sam, get that paper, make those bets, but bet responsibly. Bet only as much as you can afford to lose.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right. Here's what we're about to do. We are about to bring on the Jordan Elliott of NBC Sports Bay Area. You guys ready? I said, are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, fuck it. Let's bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Elliott.
What's up, dude?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Doing good, man. A little tired, man. I was up late last night. Was in Vegas. Dude, you know what his rocket fuel is? Tequila Red Bull. Pretty interesting combo, you know. I think that was doing pretty good. Hit the craps table. Now I'm dehydrated. I always feel warm on top of it already being hot in the Bay Area. So I'm just happy to be with you, man. You are my oasis. You are my oasis. You are my nourishment. You are the thing that is bringing me to life. So I appreciate you being on the show today.
Dude, that must have really sucked, like getting off the plane, expecting that like wave of fog that hits you normally when you get off the plane in the Bay, and it's just like just as hot here as it was there.
Jordan, you have no idea how bad I wanted that. I was like, in the airport in Vegas, I was like, I can't wait until that cool, brisk Bay Area, just foggy dew just washes over my dehydrated face and just tells me I'm home. Instead, I just walked out and it was like, back where you started, bitch. Hot as hell.
Degrees, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's not your fault, dude. Global warming, it's all of our fault. Cool. Well, let's.
Thank you for not
Yeah,
getting me.
yeah, no, dude. It's all. This life is a team sport. All right. Our natural disasters are a shared responsibility. All right. Speaking of team sport, how about the 49ers beating the Patriots? Obviously, a much needed, very cathartic win, putting 30 points up against their 13. Juwan Jennings continuing his impressive streak of performances, hauling in 3 passes, but for 88 yards. Purdy continuing to look like we should probably fucking pay him. And then, of course, Jordan Mason going over 100 yards at 123 and getting a touchdown in Christian McCaffrey's absence. So upon viewing the game and having time to reflect and watch the tape, what have been your takeaways from this performance?
I feel like it was like the most 49ers game ever, right? Like they controlled the game for the most part on both sides of the ball. They won comfortably, but throughout the game, I don't know that anybody who had a rooting interest in the 49ers felt comfortable for even a moment, even when they were up 17 and it looked like they were pretty handily in control of it. So I just thought it was kind of funny. It just played out how we've seen so many games play out for them. I loved that they were able to rebound from a couple bad losses because I think it's really easy to let things spiral out of control. And maybe, you come away with a win against a team like the Patriots who, as you mentioned at the beginning, like probably not a playoff team, but they're still an NFL team. They're still a well-coached team. And I thought that they did what they needed to do, and I think that's what good teams do. And I thought it was really cool that we saw a lot of new faces step up and show that, maybe they can't be counted on for all 17 games to lead the way, but it's nice to know that all these frontline stars can have a day where they're not carrying 100% of the load and they'll still have a comfortable win, ultimately in the box score and on the field. So, I thought it was exactly what they needed, and now they're facing a tough part of their schedule. So hopefully they're able to carry that energy going into Arizona and then, at home against Arizona and then into Seattle on the short week coming up as well.
Yeah, and actually, I want to talk about the article you'd published on the D line after this. So try to keep all of those defensive line talking points in your pocket. We are going to get to that one next. But it was encouraging. I think if anything, it was a necessary building block to start getting the momentum back on track. It was also both exciting and a bit terrifying to see some of our superstar injured offensive weapons sort of return. Every time George Kittle or Deebo Samuel gets their hands on the ball, you're sort of holding your breath, hoping that nothing goes wrong, because obviously this year has been a little bit injury heavy. Now, luckily, none of them yet have been, not too many of them rather, have been season ending, obviously with a handful notably in that conversation. But as far as our offensive weapons thus far, we have been relatively lucky to just see, a couple weeks here and there. And Christian McCaffrey maybe coming in late October, perhaps early November, more realistically. As far as our overall scheme was concerned, specifically circling around Nick Sorensen, was there anything that, Brad gave you confidence after this performance that, maybe this is all getting a little bit more dialed in, or do you have to sort of temper those expectations with it being a Patriots offense?
I'm not one to downplay another NFL team, even if it is a team that's struggling. Like, again, I don't think you should be victory lapping and, patting yourself on the back, overdoing it for beating a team like that. But I also don't think that it's fair to just say, like, oh, it's the Patriots. Like, it's still an NFL offense. And it's an experienced quarterback. Ramondre Stevenson's been pretty good this season. Antonio Gibson's given them a nice 1-2 punch. And the Niners really able to make them one-dimensional, which is what they said they wanted to do after the game, which allowed a lot of those newer faces on the defensive line to kind of tee off and get after the quarterback a little bit. So, sometimes you need a get-right game. We all need rebounds in life, right? And I think that the 49ers and other football teams are no different. And maybe this was the get-right game they needed to remind themselves and remind their opponents that while it's a different defense and it's a different scheme and there's somebody new calling plays and there's new faces on the field, it's still a 49ers defense, and it's still a defense that needs to be feared and respected when they're playing on top of their game, which I thought they did for the majority of the time on Sunday. So in terms of Sorensen, I think it takes time to figure it out, right? Like, I think one thing that's not working in his favor is it's very easy to look back on maybe some of the previous defensive coordinators. I know Wilkes is only here for a year, and that's a very polarizing topic, shockingly, for how little time he spent here. But even before him, like Saleh obviously had a ton of success, and then DeMeco Ryans. To me, DeMeco Ryans was one of the most spectacular defensive coordinators I can remember watching. Coach the 49ers. Vic Fangio was in his own tier when he did it, but DeMeco just had this feel for, pushing the right button at the right time, and it felt like in big games he rose to the occasion, even more so than the high bar he had already set just week to week. So I think with Sorensen, the thing to remember is that he's not DeMeco Ryans, and nobody is DeMeco Ryans. And DeMeco Ryans is doing fantastic with the Texans, which means he's not going to be walking back through that door anytime soon. So we just need to temper our expectations a little bit in that regard. And also remember, I remember a time in 2021 when DeMeco first took over that people after 3 or 4 weeks were fed up with him and wanted him gone. And I'm like, hey, I don't feel that way. I don't think this is a long enough time to do that. I think he needs more time before we can really make an assessment. So I think Sorensen's the same way. And I've noticed for sure they've mixed up their coverages a little bit more, and they've gotten a little bit more multiple with what they're showing, and I think that that's important rather than being super predictable. Even if you have the talent to pull it off, it's always good to mix things up every once in a while. And it seems like as the season's gone on, he's gotten a little bit more willing to do that and make those adjustments. So we can only assume that it's going to continue that way as the season goes on, right?
Absolutely. And it's funny you bring that up because the DeMeco Ryans conversation over his first games, because I believe that also came up on my last show that I had with Rich. And I think it's true. I think it is too early to come to any sweeping judgments. And any encouraging signs should be warmly embraced. And, you have to give a lot of credit to the success, obviously not just to Sorensen over this past weekend, but also this defensive line, which leads me into the article that you recently wrote, where you had a chance to speak with defensive tackle Malik Collins. You had a chance to write about this defensive line unit and perhaps some names that may not be household names that are contributing on this unit. So go ahead and kind of give folks who may not have had the luxury, the thrill, the opportunity to read your article a little bit about what you uncovered with that piece.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just kind of spoke to the confidence that veterans like Collins and Nick Bosa had in the guys that stepped up on Sunday, where, for a 49ers fan that maybe isn't, super glued to figuring out every single player on the 53-man and the practice squad week to week, they might not have ever heard of Sam Okuanu, or they might not have, been too familiar with an Evan Anderson. Kevin Givens has been around for a long time. It's actually his 6th season with the team, shockingly enough. So I think people were familiar with Kevin Givens, but even for Kevin Givens, that was the first multi-sack game in his career, and he has over 60 career NFL appearances in the regular season. So I think for fans, we're, looking at this like, hey, who are these new guys coming in and making plays? Whereas guys like Collins and Bosa are in meeting rooms and practice, working with these guys every single day. So it wasn't a surprise at all to them to see the way that they stepped up. And you could just tell that there was a confidence there where it was like, we got a really good group, so not everybody's going to get a ton of reps every week. But when these guys get their opportunity, they're going to rise to the occasion. And like Okuanu is one for me where it's like, this guy's motor is off the chart. He may not have traditional measurables that jump off the chart, but you turn on the game film and you watch the way that this guy's impacting play after play after play. To me, measurables really don't matter when your production supersedes it. So I think he's a guy where it's like, man, did the 49ers, I don't want to say luck into, because there's too much work that goes into acquiring players and filling out a roster and building a practice squad, but it's like they might have fallen into, if that's a better word, another guy that can be a really good contributor, a nice depth piece, Evan Anderson's a rookie undrafted free agent, a guy that was highly coveted when he was coming out. It's so funny. Like every year, right? Like this is one thing that cracks me up. We have the draft. By the third day of the draft, a lot of times people are fatigued, right? We have 252 picks we're going through. People are like, all right, like, come on, like, let's get it over with. But the second undrafted free agency starts, it's like, all right, this guy, this guy, this guy. There's like this list of high priority guys everybody wants to have on their team. And this year, Evan Anderson was one of those guys. And I think we saw why. And I just, to me, it gave me a vote of confidence that while losing Hargrave is going to be a much more difficult, thing to overcome than just, hey, we had a great game against the Patriots, we're all the way back. I don't think that's quite the case, but I think that there is a path now where it's like one guy is not going to be able to step up and fill that void, but two or three guys contributing and kind of shifting the weight week to week. I think that they can definitely weather the storm and find other ways to win. And honestly, when the offense gets rolling the way it's capable of, I don't think the defense is going to be relied on as heavily as it has in years past. It's just going to have to hold serve rather than kind of carry the brunt of the team. So I think they're in a good spot. And I think that the 49ers defensive line, it isn't what it once was, but that's also because what it once was arguably the best front four. Like it's the best front four I've ever seen. That one they had in 2019 when it was D4, Buckner, Armstead, and Bosa. I've never seen a better front four in the NFL. So I think that it's time to kind of just shift philosophy a little bit and understand that they're not going to get 8 sacks a game, right? Like they're not going to get after quarterbacks the way they used to, but they still have the pieces to find other ways to win.
Totally. And, to Evan Anderson, I mean, for him to come out with a forced fumble and a sack, just incredible way to make a statement. As you mentioned with Kevin Givens, I mean, the fact that he's gone that many games and 2.5 sacks is a career moment for him. You hope that he builds on it. You hope that this depth, maybe we didn't give this depth enough credit on the defensive line. Maybe there is something there if they're galvanized, if they're rotating, if they're locked in on their assignments and building momentum with each other, because this team's going to need it if they want to make a playoff run, because teams have been looking to find ways to exploit this defense since 2019. I mean, there's been a big target on this team's back, and frankly, I think this is the one year where it really felt like that vulnerability. I think last year the leak started to appear. This year, at the beginning, it felt like, maybe this is going to be a problematic defense. And honestly, it's still to be determined to see how strong. I'm back. Are you back? We'll be back. So one of the things that I really, really am curious to see is, can we continue to build this momentum? Can we continue to see this defense demonstrate that it is capable of building on its previous success that we've seen? And will this defense be able to take this game and stack on it against a team like, say, the Cardinals, and continue to develop these relationships and make it all happen? But any last thoughts on this article? Any last thoughts on this unit before we move on to some of our next topics here?
Yes. Sunday was the first time. I also wrote one on Sunday for anybody who wants to check it out. If you want to learn a little bit more about Sam Okuanu, one of the most enjoyable interviews I've ever conducted in my time doing this. Just the passion that he clearly has for the game of football and the energy that he brought to the table after already doing like a 15-minute long media scrum before I even had the chance to talk to him. I was blown away at just the authenticity of just that unbridled enthusiasm that he brought to the table. And I was just, like, the whole time I'm talking to him, I'm like, man, I can see why, Kosaric would love this guy. I could see why he is such a perfect fit for this Niners defensive line. And one thing that really stood out to me was he's having a game where he kind of put himself on the map. He's, endearing himself to one of the bigger fan bases in the NFL. It's a big day for him. And for a guy that's had such a incredible journey, which, I won't spoil it. I got to tease it a little bit. If you want to read the story, there's more about his journey there if you haven't heard it yet. But he's had this incredible journey, right? And it's totally reasonable to assume that, like, hey, this is your moment in the spotlight. This is your time to kind of bask in all the hard work you put in. And instead of doing that, he immediately was like, yeah, like, I'm happy for myself, but I'm more happy for my teammates, was basically the gist of what he said. He's like, we all played great today, and we did it as a unit, rather than, focusing on himself. And it was one of those things where it wasn't like a generic, like, team speak, like, oh, it's for me and all the guys. It was like a very genuine, like, you could see this guy has this selfless approach and a motor that just doesn't stop. And the whole time I'm talking to him, I'm like, yeah, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. This guy is if you built a prototypical San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman from a mindset standpoint and an effort standpoint, like, this guy fits it to a T. So I expect to see Samo continue to make an impact. And again, I don't think he's leaving here anytime soon.
Love it. Anytime you compare the motor with just the right mindset, I mean, those are the people that John Lynch goes to sleep at night being like, thank God we have people on the team like this who can set the tone. And frankly, I think it goes all the way to our superstars as well. I mean, clearly the culture in San Francisco, it's no secret. There are a lot of players who aren't afraid to block, who aren't afraid to be selfless on offense, and on the defense, who aren't afraid to share, who aren't afraid to help everyone compete and to be the best they can be. So the fact that we got Samo in the mix with that right attitude feels good, man. It feels like, at minimum, we're sort of planting the seeds for more fruit to be able to show itself. So we're going to slide off the defense, and we're going to go into a conversation that's probably being had in many a barbershop. Ladies and gentlemen, is Brock Purdy, is he a top 5 quarterback? What do you think?
All right, so this is really hard for me because I've been a big proponent of Brock Purdy pretty much since he came on the